I've done top 5 Five Nights at Freddy's animatronics, top 10 Five Nights at Freddy's songs, and top 5 moments from Sonic games which made me want to cry, aka top 10 disturbing moments from Sonic games. But today, I'm finally ready. I'm going to share you my top 5 CreepyPasta monsters. I'm excluding humans because that's for a different list. I will also be excluding humans who have gone insane. So if you're one of those fangirls, no offense, I'm afraid Jeff the Killer won't be on this list. And during the video, I will tell you the stories of those monsters. But be warned, this video contains creepy images, creepy content, violent narration, blood, and spoilers. If you are a young or sensitive viewer, don't watch this video. Viewer discretion is advised. Robert the Doll. Robert is a real-life doll that many say is cursed. He is described as wooden, wears a sailor suit, and carries a stuffed lion. He was named after a man named Robert Egwene Otto. The doll was given to Robert by a servant in the late 1800s. After the man kept the doll in adulthood, Robert the doll started to terrorize his family and even led his wife to insanity.
And I have no idea how far this doll's reach is, so I'm just going to say I respect this doll and he is awesome.
Robert is rather disturbing. He isn't even a monster. He's actually a real-life doll who is now in the Fort East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida. Oh, don't worry. He won't hurt you, unless you mock or upset him. If you want to take a picture of Robert, you have to ask permission before you do. If you mock him or take a photo without asking for permission, Robert is said to lay a curse on you. And that's what I love about Robert. He's so mysterious. If you come across him in the museum, think to yourself, dolls have feelings too. Sonic EXE. To be fair, I don't know what to say about his poorly written story. But despite all of his hyper-realistic blood cliches, we still have a popular video game character who is possessed by Zalgo. Sonic EXE is described as Sonic, but with dark eyes and red pupils, crying blood. A Sonic fan named Tom found a disc outside his front door. It was from his friend Kyle, who told him to destroy the disc, or he will be after him next. The disc read, Sonic EXE. So being a true Sonic fan, he tried out the disc. That was his worst mistake. His first frightening memory of the hack was the title screen from the original Sonic the Hedgehog game. But at a split second, the title screen changed. Instead of water, it was blood. Sega 1991 was written Sega 666. And blood dripped from Sonic's black eyes with red pupils. And as for the victims of this story, there were no survivors. Even Tom met with a terrible fate. After his computer restarted, the last thing he saw before it was his turn was a Sonic plushie with black eyes and red pupils. To be fair, I don't know why I read his story. To be fair, and I know he's overrated, but but I'd hate to leave the hedgehog out. In fact, his story has become so popular that it gave a game developer, MYT5 Crimson, or Crimson the Bat, the idea to remake the game. Oh, don't worry, he won't do much damage. Hopefully.
Ready for round 2.
Suicide Mouse. It's really hard to describe Suicide Mouse, except for the fact that it's Mickey Mouse from the old Disney films. But here is what I mean by hard to describe. Suicide Mouse is a lost episode of the Mickey Mouse series. It features Mickey Mouse walking down the street, depressed. The buildings in the background loop and become more demolished and damaged as Mickey keeps walking. The music sounds like someone is banging on a piano before it's covered up with static. The screen then cuts to black for a few minutes before it returns and shows the scene again. But the buildings are a lot more demolished and damaged as Mickey keeps walking, but faster, smirking to himself. A low growl can be heard before a woman screaming can be heard. The video then becomes a lot more distorted. At the end, text reads, "Real suffering is not known," before a gunshot can be heard. It then shows Mickey's face, while a broken music box can be heard, saying that the video was over. Rumor has it, the video can cause anyone to commit suicide. Not only is this an interesting story, and is a lot more logical than Squidward's suicide, but it brings us another character infected by Zalgo. I've always loved Mickey Mouse, but Suicide Mouse is clever. I mean, a video leading you to death is just like that Glasgow video. U-Boa. It is unknown what kind of species he is, but he is described as a black and white head with a distorted face. Now, I haven't read his story yet. In fact, the first time I discovered him was in a video made by Epic Rap Battle Parodies. Luckily, I did see some gameplay on YouTube, so I'll explain it as best as I can. U-Boa comes from an adventure game, U-Mickey. In one particular area of the game, after murdering a girl named Poniko, there is a slight chance that after turning off the lights in the room, the character U-Boa appears. U-Boa is known for his distorted face and the heart-pounding music accompanying U-Boa's appearance. U-Boa holds such a nightmarish grasp to the heart. His appearance is so sudden and unpredictable that many who did this on accident were scared out of their minds. Although, to be fair, I rather like his style. I too find his face disturbing, like the marionette from Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Don't worry, it's just an Easter egg. But we still need to save power, if you know what I mean.
There's no way I'm to take it away with your body. Pinch yourself now, for I am taking over your life.
Before I reveal the creature of the dead, here are a few honourable mentions. Slender Man. Described as a pale, faceless man in a suit, spends time in the woods, but preys on children and takes them to purgatory. he can stretch his limbs and can distort video cameras. This mythical ghoul even saved Tiggy Toby from a fire. I know he's overrated, but Slender Man has left me paranoid. And I can't remember when. Smile Dog. Also known as Smile.jpg, he is described as a Siberian Husky with a big goofy smile. This photo here of the Smile Dog is the photo of the devil. Viewing it will lead you to depression and will appear in your dreams, telling you to spread the word. If you don't, Smile Dog will change form and stalk your nightmares until you lead to suicide. Happy Appy. He is described as a clay apple with green lips and held up with a wooden stick. Happy Appy came from a Lost Nick Jr. show, Happy Appy. The last 2 episodes were okay, with Happy Appy healing kids, but the episodes started to get weird. Happy Appy started to develop a death stare, but by episode 7 or 8, he wasn't even made out of clay anymore, and went on a child-killing spree. Don't worry, that's natural. Pinkamena Diane Pie. Pinkamena is a negative edition of Pinkie Pie. In one episode of My Little Pony, called Party of One, Pinkie Pie invites her friends to Gummy the Crocodile's party. None of them turned up. Pinkie Pie falls into a deep depression and becomes Pinkamena, which is her real name, according to another episode, The Cutie Mark Chronicles. In one scene at Gummy's party, she goes insane and starts to hallucinate. She came back in Cupcakes, Rocket to Insanity, Luna Game, and any type of executable MLP horror fan game. Of course, I did say at the start that I'm excluding humans who have gone insane. But Pinkamena is a pony! I was just talking about humans who have become killers, like Jeff the Killer or Clockwork. And finally, the Tails doll. The Tails doll is a mythical doll with a red gem who almost looks a lot like Tails, but smaller and different. Sonic R was the only game that featured the Tails doll. It is rumoured that if you complete Sonic R, the Tails doll will jump out of the TV and kill you. I actually used to play Sonic R a lot on my PS2, but now that I've seen top 22 gaming creepypastas, which featured the Tails doll, I don't really play it as much as I used to. Did I not mention that he came back in a comic and had a final form? I'm pretty sure all of us were scarred at that point. Mr. Widemouth. Let's just say that a child's first memory of this small creature is asking him if he has a name. His name is Mr. Widemouth, due to his large grin. In fact, everything about him is large, in comparison to his body, his head, his eyes, his crooked ears. But his mouth is by far the largest. If you mix a Furby with the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland, this is the creature you'll get. Now, I've already read his full story for a YouTube video, which explains how I just described him. But I'll explain once more because his story is just that interesting. It starts with a 5-year-old boy, diagnosed with mono, who had to stay in bed until he recovered. 1 week later, he developed an imaginary friend, Mr. Widemouth, who kept the boy company. Things were going well, until Mr. Widemouth had a new game that he could play, called Pretend. After showing the boy to the highest room in the house, which only had a window, Mr. Widemouth explained that to play, the boy had to pretend that there was a trampoline beneath.
It's believed that he tries to get the child to commit suicide by telling them, if you pretend hard enough, there will be a trampoline under the window, and you reach out, you'll bounce right back up like a feather.
But the boy refused, saying that he didn't have enough imagination. The next day, Mr. Widemouth arrived with a box of knives, explaining that he wanted to teach the boy how to juggle. The boy refused to that as well, since knives weren't safe to just throw in the air. What was more disturbing was that every time the boy refused, Mr. Widemouth would develop a snarl. To be fair, that actually creeped me out thinking about it while reading the story. Many years later, when the same boy became a man, he decided to follow a deer trail, which was the actual deer trail that Mr. Widemouth showed him when the man was still a boy. Mr. Widemouth explained that he had other friends who were also children, and that the boy wasn't ready to see what was on the other end of the trail. The man followed the deer trail to a cemetery. The first thing he noticed was that many of the graves belonged to children. I'm not sure whether to find Mr. Widemouth cute or creepy. I mean, look at his smile! He's not a boring old serial killer like Jeff the Killer, or Clockwork, or even Laughing Jack. He persuades and tricks kids from 4 to 6 to commit suicide. Even his story has left me asking a lot of questions. What kind of creature is he? Where did he come from? And what does he do with the child's soul after they are buried? Mr. Widemouth is one of those monsters who are underrated in animations. The only animation I saw him in was an animation made by Kocheki777. Give this creature more love! Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think of the video, and let me know what else you want next. And if you disagree, that's perfectly fine. In fact, I'd like to know which monster or monsters scare you. I'd like to thank you all for watching. Please give that like button a scratch, and make that subscribe button feel the sunshine. But be careful, we need them both alive. These 3 links here will take you to my other videos. And as always, if you see Sonic EXE, ignore the phrase "you can't run," because it's you.